Hello, this is Ken. Welcome to the Information Nation. A few years ago, Michael Savage, nationally syndicated radio host and author of several books, wrote a book called Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. And people blasted him for it, said he was some kind of a nut job. Interesting book. I haven't read it, so I'm not going to comment on his book. I have read excerpts of it. And it's funny, Friday, January 21st, 2011, WorldNet Daily had an article called, says, Top Shrink says leftists are mentally ill. So it seems like Michael Savage is being vindicated here. Strikingly irrational beliefs and emotions cited by veteran forensic psychiatrist. WorldNet Daily, just when liberal leftists thought it was finally their time to lead the right-centered, center-right America kicking and screaming into a stifling socialist utopia, a veteran psychiatrist is making a powerful cause that the hope and change ideology motivating them is actually a mental disorder. I find that quite interesting. For more than 40 years, Rossiter has diagnosed and treated over 1,500 patients as a board-certified clinical psychiatrist and examined more than 2,700 civil and criminal cases, both state and federal, as a board-certified forensic psychiatrist, retained by numerous public offices, courts, and private attorneys. He's received his medical and psychiatric training at the University of Chicago. It's one of the better schools out there, so this guy has a good education. Rossiter explains with great clarity what kind of liberalism being displayed, that the kind of liberalism being displayed by Barack Obama can only be understood as a psychological disorder. Based on strikingly irrational beliefs and emotions, modern liberals relentlessly undermine the most important principles on which our freedoms are founded. Like spoiled, angry children, they rebel against normal responsibilities of adulthood and demand that parental government meet their needs from cradle to grave. A social scientist who understands human nature will not dismiss the vital roles of free choice, voluntary cooperation, and moral integrity as liberals do, he says. A political leader who understands human nature will not ignore individual differences in talent, drive, personal appeal, and the work ethic, and then try to impose economic and social equality on the population, as liberals do. As a legislator who understands human nature will not create an environment of rules which overregulates and overtaxes the nation's citizens, corrupts their character, and reduces them to wards of the state, as liberals do. Dr. Rossiter says, the liberal agenda preys on the weakness and feelings of inferiority in the population by creating and reinforcing perceptions of victimization, satisfying infantile claims to entitlement, indulgence, and compensation, augmenting primitive feelings of envy, rejecting the sovereignty of the individual, subordinating him to the will of the government. The roots of liberalism and its associated madness can clearly be identified by understanding how children develop from infancy to adulthood, and how distorted development produces irrational beliefs of the liberal mind. When modern liberal mind whines about imaginary victims, rages against imaginary villains, and seeks above all else to run the lives of persons competent to run their own lives, the neurosis of the liberal mind becomes painfully obvious. Now, Dr. Rossiter's book, The Liberal Mind, A Psychological Cause for Political Madness. You can purchase that book either on WorldNet Daily or you could probably get it on Amazon.com. But it just holds true to what Michael Savage has said for a long time, which is the fact that liberals are crazy. We have these people running around thinking that you should do everything that they want you to do, and that you're no better than they are, and that you have no better abilities than anybody else does. They're going to tell you how to live your life. If that's the type of people that you want to deal with, you go right ahead. As far as myself, I'm an independent. I think for myself. I do what I need to do to get things done. I provide for myself, and I provide for my family. I don't need some nut telling me how to run my life. This was quite evident the other day when Representative Cohen from Tennessee got up on the floor of the House and started ranting and raving how the Republicans tell lies after lie after lie after lie after lie, and sooner or later they become the truth. And the thing is, the Republicans aren't the ones doing it. The Democrats are. They told us how great Obamacare was, how we needed Obamacare, how you couldn't get along without Obamacare. And they kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. And the final statement that kind of broke the camel's back on everybody was the fact that Nancy Pelosi came out and said, well, we've got to pass the bill before you can know what's in it. Which, in other words, is a direct attack on the American people, saying, hey, dummies, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Which I found quite insulting. So, when you kind of look at the liberal mind, think about stuff like that and what they're trying to do. Take some time to think about what the liberals are trying to do to the American people and make your decisions. You know, that this whole thing is ridiculous. Just like now that they're no longer in charge of the House of Representatives, when the president holds his State of the Union message, it's either tomorrow night or Wednesday night, whichever it is, they want to intermingle and all sit together to show unity. Where was that unity when they were in charge? For the 4 years that the Democrats were in charge of Congress, they rammed everything down our throats like we were a bunch of 4-year-old children that didn't know any better. I think it's time that we really took a good hard look at these people, listen to what they say, and in the next elections vote accordingly. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. That's not my job. You're intelligent people. Make the decision for yourself. Hey, but that's my opinion, and this is Ken for the Information Nation. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's. We're glad to be back, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.